Good evening, friends. Welcome to my channel. Today start Salesforce Developers Apex Sensor Based Intro Question List. Very important video. Start the questions. How would you design an integration using Apex, REST, or SOAP? Next questions. How would you ensure errors handling if either system A or system D fails? Next, how would you maintain log for these transactions? Next, how would you use aggregate function in SQL? Next, would you use rollup summary feeds in instant? Why or why not? Next, what is the order of executions in this case? Next, how would you resolve conflicts or ensure that only one logic execute? Would you recommend consolidating the logic into Apex Y? How would you enforce these validations using the Apex? Next, would you use the triggers or validation rules with custom logic? Next, why? How would you handle the scenario during bulk update of opportunity? Next, what compounds would your the triggers frameworks include? Handlers, classes, utility cases, classes. Next, how would you manage triggers executions for specific the content like before insert, after update? Next questions. How would you use the schema class for dynamic feeds access? Next, what are the challenge of using the dynamic Apex for bulk processing? Next, how would you prevent triggers equations in this scenario? Next, what tools techn technique static variable can be used for this purpose? Next, would you use future squareable Apex platform event? Next, why would you handle delay or failures in the external system? What design considerations are required for BI directionals? Synchron, synchron, synchron. Next, how would you implement the logic using batch apex? Next, how would you schedule the batch to run automatically? Next, what considerations are required for data integrated during the achieval process? Next, would you Salesforce connect platform event REST API? Next, why? How would you handle authentications between R2 or G? Next, what would you be approach synchronizations large value of data? Next, what? How would you refactors the text class to use reflect text data? Next, would you recommend using the text load data? Why or why not? Next, would you use Touch Apex ETL tools for the task? Why? How would you ensure that the delete operations does not impact system performance? Next, how would you handle records that fails to delete due to sharing the validation rules? Next, would you use platform event or call out the webhook for the requirement? Next, why? How would you handle failures in the delivering the notifications? Next, what would your the approach to testing these integrations? Next, how would you ensure that valid records are the process will handling the fails records separately? Next, would you use database save the result class? How would you notify user about the records that fail to the process? Next, how would you implement this logic using the Apex triggers? Next, what considerations would you how to bulk processing. Next, how would you ensure data integrity if related records are the being the deleted or updated? Next, what are the key difference between the custom metadata type of the custom setting in terms of uses in Apex? How would you access the data in Apex? Next, how would when would you use custom metadata type insert of custom setting and vice versa? Next, how would you optimize your the SQL queries to handle large data value efficiently? Next, would you implement the paginations indexing of selective the queries? Next, why would you use batch apex to process such large data set? Next, how would you implement dynamic apex to handle query feeds? Next, why would you ensure the codes in scalables for new feeds change to exiting feeds? Next, what step would you take to handle large database value standing within the governor limits? Next, how would you structure your the codes to avoid the hitting the SQL TML limit? Would you use batch apex, and if so, how would you implement it? Next, how would you avoid regression in apex triggers? Would you use static variable control regressions? Next, why or why not? How would you handle resource update in the bulk update scenario? Next, how would you design your the SQL queries to optimize the performance for the large database? Next, what technique would you use to handle large database without the running into the query if size limit? Next, how would you break the query into the manageable chunk to avoid the hitting corner limits? Next, how would you design triggers to call flow use certain the conditions? Next questions, how would you implement the asynchronous apex to handle this process? Next, what are the advantage to using the queryable apex or over future methods in the scenario? Next, how would you monitor and handle failures in the asynchronous executions? Next, how would you integrate the Salesforce with the external identifier for using the SSO? Next, what security considerations would you need to the account for when implementing this custom SSO large logic into Apex? Next, how would you handle sections management and timeout in this scenario? How would you optimize the execute methods to reduce the heap size uses? Next, what is strategy can you employ to handle large records step without the hitting memory or heap size limits? How would you handle paginations in your the batch job process records in the chunk? Thank you, friends. Very important video. Take care. Bye.